Let's go. Let's go. How you doing on Facebook? Ed Schultz with you. 202-909-1492. That is the number. There it is. You can call us right now. Hillary Clinton speaking at an international women's forum today in New York, talking about women's issues. Nobody wanted to listen. They all wanted to know what she thought about losing the election, and she had plenty to say. She gave really her first detailed post-mortem of losing the election. She gave reasons why she lost. She was on her way to being president of the United States, and then this FBI director got involved. And then also it was WikiLeaks, and it was Russian President Vladimir Putin. And she's writing a book, and she says writing the book is painful. I have to tell you, folks, it was painful watching this interview. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I didn't see Bernie Sanders come out and start whining about how he got screwed at the convention. And I'm sure all you Clinton folks out there, oh, Eddie, you never liked Hillary. That's not the issue. I'm not doing the talking today. She's doing the talking. Hillary Clinton did not go to Wisconsin. Hillary Clinton did not go to Michigan enough. Hillary Clinton didn't do what she said she was going to do for union workers in this country, and it cost her the election. End of story. That's it. And see, I didn't even mention the email scandal, the fact that 30,000 emails were gone. Never mentioned the fact that when Trump went to Michigan, he turned to his buddy Mike Pence and said, you know what? This doesn't feel like second place. But she's writing a book, and we all get to read it, and we move forward. What's wrong with the Democratic Party? I'll tell you, right now, there's not a whole lot wrong with the Democrats when it comes to health care. They're playing this just right. Let the Republicans stay in this fraternal order fight, and everything's going to be fine. It's going to work out. They're showing their stripes and their colors. They can't come to agreement. I don't believe that they will come to agreement. And if they do come to agreement, all it's going to do is infuriate millions of Americans, because what the Republicans have on the table for health care right now is going to destroy the lives of a lot of Americans, and there will be political blowback because of it. That's where the Democrats need to focus. They're outside the economy, folks. There's no bigger issue in America to anyone. It's so personal. It is health care. And I think Jimmy Kimmel did the country a favor by sharing his personal stories and crying up about it on TV. Was that last night or the night before? It was last night. That's where people are. See, the Republicans can't grasp that. It's all about a deal to them. The insurance industry is still driving the truck when it comes to health care in this country. Everything they're doing is geared to make sure that the insurance industry gets their share, makes their profits, and hides behind this damn slogan, free market. There's no free lunch. That's where they are, and they're going to get their profit. You may or may not get your health care, but they're going to get their profit. And that's where the Republicans are. Now, on the pre-existing condition, there seems to be a real fight going on. The president said adamantly in an interview that he mandated it, that the pre-existing condition is going to be there. Well, that's a political football on Capitol Hill at this hour, and that's why the Republicans can't get enough votes, because the moderates want to make sure it's in there, and the right-wingers, they don't give a damn about Americans. They only care about their own insurance. So if you have an illness in your family, that person may or may not be able to get health insurance. And that's not the way it was under Obamacare. And so this is where we are. I mean, if you don't have something to say about that, I'm surprised. 202-909-1492. There's nothing more important to Americans than what's going to happen to them, because sickness leads to financial ruin. Sickness leads to bankruptcies. Sickness leads to a tremendous amount of family anguish. And I thought we took care of that. We didn't. And it doesn't sound like the Republicans are going to take care of it. And what the Republicans are going to do is that if you have cancer, we'll use that as an example, and you want health insurance, you're going to have to pay through the nose to get it. And that is going to disqualify a lot of Americans. And we put up a graphic on TV last night. those Americans above 55 years old, and especially when you get into your 60s, your rates are going to go nuts until you get into Medicare. The bottom line is that if you're making like $26,000 a year, you could be facing a premium that's going to be half your salary. Now, how in the hell are people not going to react to that? People 55 years of age and older normally stand in line and they vote. They register and they vote. And they do it because they want to protect Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, and they want some fairness in the system because they've paid their taxes for some 30 years. You can count on seniors to vote. And this plan that they've got on the table is going to stick it to people in their 50s and early 60s. I don't think, and the moderates know that. The moderate Republicans know that, and the conservatives don't give a damn. And so those are the two big issues. Where are the rates going to go for older Americans, and where are the pre-existing conditions going to actually fall? And if they turn it over to the states, that doesn't matter. Turn it over to anybody. The insurance company is still going to be in charge. The insurance company is going to say to a state legislative body, look, if you want my insurance company competing for business in your small state, you know what you got to do? You got to write a law to allow us to drop people with pre-existing conditions. That's what it sounds like. They are going to drive this truck, they are going to drive this ship, and there's no turning back unless there's some kind of federal guarantee that that insurance is going to be there. Now, since we're rehashing the election to start this little commentary off, we can certainly go back and talk about what the Obamacare fight was all about. If there had been a federal public option, an option for you and me in whatever state we live in to jump into the federal market, we would have been guaranteed insurance at a cheaper rate provided by the government. Republicans didn't want that, and Obama tipped over, and we never got the public option. What we got was optional exchanges that were set up and funded by the federal government. But it was not mandated that there would be a public option in every state. If there had been a public option in every state, we would not be where we are today, because the popularity of Obamacare would have been through the roof, and the Republicans wouldn't even thought about changing the law. Now they are. Now they have allowed it to fail in numerous states by, number one, not having Republican legislative bodies fund it properly, number one, set it up properly, number two, or accept the federal money. So now we're at a quagmire. Obamacare has covered 20 million more people, but under the Republicans, what they're talking about right now, those Americans are going to lose their insurance. And so where are the Democrats on this? They're quiet, and they should be. They're quiet, and they should be. 202-909-1492. You're on Facebook Live with Ed Schultz. Good to have you with us. Hello. Thanks for calling.
Hi, Ed. This is Ned from Connecticut.
Good to have you on, Ned.
Thank you very much. I am absolutely aghast that we continue to allow this brokerage situation that takes a huge slice of money, called insurance companies, takes a huge slice of money out of the actual performance of the task people need. And this is not like something that is a wish or a desire. It's a need. It's a basic human need. The answer is Medicare for all. That is the single-payer system, the brokerage of the insurance companies, their thievery, the pharmaceutical thievery, and what's driving it all, in my opinion, the corruption in Washington, the lobbying, and the money that we allow these congressmen and senators to get.
Well, if you look at what the Republicans are doing right now, they're wordsmithing this in front of the American people, saying that they're going to create competition to offer more competition, to offer more options and lower rates. You can't have it both ways. Insurance companies are in it to make money. Insurance companies are in it for their bottom line. They don't give a crap how much money you have to pay. They just want to make sure that you are paying it, and they're not servicing as many people because they want their profits to go up. And so this is where the Republicans are. And this could be a game changer. Trump doesn't know health care. Can we just say that? He doesn't know it. He doesn't understand how to get this done. He says all the right things because he's a walking, talking soundbite, and he's going to tell us how great it's going to be. All of the things that he's talked about on healthcare have not come true or anywhere near it. And now you've got the insurance companies who are on Capitol Hill. It's one of the largest lobbying efforts in the history of this country. They're telling lawmakers, damn it, if you do this, we're going to target you in the next elections. That's how this works. All these bastards on Capitol Hill, all they want to do is get reelected and save their own fanny. That's what's happening. And so the consumer is, we're like the lambs and here come the wolves. We don't know who's going to get eaten first, and we don't know if there's going to be any of us left. And so it's not a question. It's not a question of how many people actually get the coverage. It's a question of how many people pay. That's what the insurance industry wants. And if the pre-existing conditions are not in the next health care bill, that, I think, will turn the table for a lot of Americans. Go ahead, Ned.
Oh, absolutely. The people affected, of course, are going to be the worst, the people that are least able to defend themselves in this whole thing. But when we talk about this enormous lobbying effort, I wish we would stop calling it lobbying. I wish we'd just flat out tell people what it is.
Bribery.
Bribery.
It's bribery.
Absolutely.
Good to have you on, Ned. Thank you. 202-909-1492. Ed Schultz, Facebook Live. You're on with us, caller. Thank you. By the way, we don't screen these calls. So you can call me whatever you want to call me or disagree or whatever, and I can't do anything about it. I can't cut you off. All right, go ahead. You're on with us. Thanks for calling.
Am I on the air?
Yes, sir.
Hey, I just want to say I think it kind of stinks that you're no longer on TV, and I was a big fan. And what channel on Sirius are you, by the way? Are you on Sirius?
No. I'm just doing a Facebook interactive thing I do for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes every day, and I'm on RT America. It's Russian television, the American division, and it's on the satellite channels. It's on some cable networks. We have one of the largest social footprints in the country at RT.com. You can watch me RT.com. You can watch me live Monday through Thursday at 8 o'clock. It's a half-hour news read. It's not commentary. This is the only commentary I do now.
Okay.
All right.
Well, like I said, I'm a big fan and glad to hear you.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Ed Schultz on Facebook Live, 202-909-1492. Caller, you're with us. Hello.
Hi, Ed.
Hi.
I'm going to turn my speaker off.
Okay. Now, this is an educated listener right here.
The last time I saw you was at the recall here in Madison, Wisconsin.
Sure.
And I'm wondering what your take is on future politics for 2018 and 2020.
Well,
nationally.
I honestly believe that Bernie Sanders is going to be a bigger player moving forward than he was in the last election. I think that Bernie is for lack of a better term, revving up the canoe and putting an engine on it, if you know what I mean. I think that his activism and his candidacy has sparked a lot of grassroots efforts that's going to make a difference. I think that what you saw in Trump the first 100 days is what you're going to see the next 3.5 years. I don't think there's going to be much difference.
Oh, I didn't even ask you about him. That's
yeah.
Mean,
so I think is Trump going to make it easier? I don't view it that way. I view it as Democrats or progressives or whoever. I mean, people who care about people who are issue oriented, are just going to have to get active and just going to have to want the change more than the conservatives do. And realize that they're about to take away health care from 20 million people, and it may be more than that. Because the way they're setting up this program, there's going to be people who have insurance right now that aren't going to be able to afford it when this plan comes out, if it ever does. And so I think the future of politics is still on the kitchen table. It's still jobs. It's still trade agreements. It's still health care. It's still education. It's about the progressives being brilliant on the basics. And I think that's what the future is there. And I think that there'll be another rising star that's going to capture the imagination and the emotion of a lot of Americans. I don't know who that is, but somebody's going to come along and fill that void. Maybe it'll be Bernie. Maybe he'll run again. I hope he does.
Do you think he can unite people because of the fractious nature of what happened back here in the election?
Well, look, I think we have to realize that talking about the other guy doesn't work. Hillary tried that. Going to where people have to be engaged is important, hitting every state and setting up state campaign efforts and doing the grassroots work and making sure people get engaged and give people a feeling that they're going to make a difference. I mean, that is the key. That's the formula to winning. I mean, basically, Trump won because he tapped into the emotion of people who felt like they had been left behind. Well, the Democrats ought to be able to figure that out. It's not abortion, okay? It's jobs. It's the economy. It's what's in it for me. That's where Americans are. And of course, security. Let me ask you a question. Do you feel more secure now than you did before the election? We're about ready to exchange nukes with North Korea. I mean, the Republicans aren't even, they're just saying, oh, well, I guess he's going to do it. Where are the dissenting voices on Capitol Hill? They're supposed to be the hawks on security. Hell, they're on the verge of getting us all killed. I mean, that's how I view it. And so, it's nuts. It's freaking nuts. This is why I can't do radio for 3 hours anymore. I'd be dead by now. Thank you for calling. I appreciate it. Let's go back to the phones, 202-909-1492. You're on Facebook Live with Ed. Hello.
Hey there, Ed. How's it going?
Good.
Hey, I just the elephant in the room. We all know this president is insane, but beside the point, when is anybody going to point out the obvious disconnect he has with reality when it comes to like healthcare, where he sits there and talks about all this pie in the sky crap about what his insurance plan is going to do when he has no plan.
Exactly.
And then behind the scenes, they just do whatever the hell they want to do anyway, and then he just rubber stamps it.
You know, he's not a healthcare study. You know, he's just not. Okay, he's not a detail guy on this. He said things.
Not a history major either.
You know, for all we know, Andrew Jackson's going to tweet him back tonight.
Yep.
You know,
Frederick Douglass, yeah, have a great time.
Yeah. Look, I think Americans are going to figure this out. It's going to take some time. I think it's going to be awfully hard for the Democrats to win the House again, but who knows? We're a long way to the midterm. We're a long way to the next big election cycle. Just, it's realized what we're dealing with. And, of course, I hope we're all still alive in 2018. I hope that we're still, I hope we're as a country, we're still here. I mean, that's really where I'm at.
Right, but it's a shorter walk to the White House infirmary, so maybe somebody will, put an extra long sweater on him and escort him, to a nice quiet place, and we can, maybe that'll speed up the investigations, and we can, sort through all the crap. But
I will make this prediction. I don't think anything's going to come of any of these investigations that's going to pin him in collusion with Russia. I think that's all bullshit. I do. And I think the Democrats are wasting their energy going down that road. Okay, so and here's let me just say, we have an international businessman as president of the United States. We have a global economy. We have Citizens United, a billionaire. He didn't have to buy it because he's got the TV and media moxie, but he could have bought the election if he wanted to. Okay, he spent a fraction of what Hillary Clinton had to spend. She had more money, she had more resources, she lost. So what does that tell you? I mean, you can connect with people a lot of different ways. The fact of the matter is that there's an international business guy who knows people all over the globe, and to run down this rat hole that he was in it with Putin, I just don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. You know, the United States tries to influence elections. The Chinese try to influence elections. The Russians, I guess, try to influence elections. They all do. They all do. But I just don't think that there's going to be any charges. I don't think there's going to be any impeachment. I think that's all distorted emotion being thrown out by Maxine Waters and some of these other Democrats who have gone psycho on us.
Right. So back to my point. I mean, the guy seems to be almost clinically insane at this point.
Well, he's been diagnosed by numerous psychologists and psychiatric experts, psychiatrists at this most recent convention that he has malignant narcissism and it's incurable. I mean, I don't think that's what you want people telling you. Thanks for calling. 202-909-1492. You're on Facebook Live with Ed Schultz. Hello.
Hi, Ed. My name's Justin. I'm calling you from Colonial Lake, Pennsylvania. One thing I don't hear a lot of people talking about is the Democratic bench that we do not have anymore.
Yeah, you don't have one.
No, we don't. You know, and people need to really keep an eye out on, and in particular, two rising stars in the Pennsylvania Democratic Party: our Attorney General Josh Shapiro and our Auditor General, future Governor Eugene D. Pasquale. These guys are really, really good. And honestly, the last thing that we have not ever done, and quite some time since James Buchanan, is have a presidential candidate, a serious presidential candidate from Pennsylvania or even Northeast Ohio. You know, I'm not saying that we speak the language of the country, but it's a hell of a lot better when someone can go up to a door and you know, connect with people. It's not that New York mentality, the California mentality.
Well, here's where I'm at on that. I mean, I think that Bernie Sanders gave us a playbook. The question now is anybody going to follow it? Okay, that's the big question. The centrist Democrat didn't win. The centrist Democrat lost to a billionaire businessman. Somebody outside of Washington won the election. Is there somebody else out there outside of Washington that can rekindle the spirit of the Democratic Party and the progressive movement? I mean, you got New York with Chuck Schumer, you got California with Nancy Pelosi, but you got nothing in the middle of the country, okay? You've lost the middle of the country. You've lost the Senate. You're not going to have the House. You got issues on your side, but for some reason the Democrats are having a hard time communicating exactly where they're going to go. And that will get better as Trump moves on in his administration and time unfolds and more things happen. So this is a marathon, not a sprint, but it's detail work that's got to be done. Let me point out what you're saying. No rising stars? Who would have ever thought Bernie would have done what he did? There's always going to be a rising star. There's always going to be somebody who's going to step out and grab the limelight and strike the passion and inspire a lot of Americans. I don't know who that's going to be. The next thing is that when the Democrats have lost the last number of election cycles, Obama was on the ticket in 2008. Democrats did well. He was not on the ticket in 2010. Democrats got crushed. He was on the ticket in 2012. Democrats did okay. He was not on the ticket in 2014. Democrats got crushed. He was not on the ticket in 2016. Democrats got crushed. So what does that tell you? That, you know, Obama didn't have the coattails, number one. And number two, our bench is weak. The progressive bench right now, as far as a national name, is pretty weak. There's no coronation being set up. And my advice, stay away from anybody who was involved in the Clinton campaign, number one. Get rid of the John Podestas of the world. Get rid of the Robbie Mooks of the world. Get rid of the Brian Fallons of the world. They're horseshit. They didn't win. Definitely stay away from Donna Brazile. She's a fraud. Don't ever let Debbie Wasserman Schultz in a position that she was in before because she lied. I mean, there has to be an enema, a cleansing. And where that starts and where it ends up, only time is going to tell us. And there's going to have to be someone that's going to have to start traveling the country right now and starting working the people and getting them to believe and to inspire them that there is a future with a different name or personality, or it's Bernie, which I'm perfectly fine
Is
with.
it Mark Cuban?
Mark Cuban? No, not Mark Cuban. That's just my opinion. I mean, he might be. I don't know. I'm not a big Mark Cuban guy. You might be.
If he was going to beat Trump, would you do it? Would you pull the trigger for Cuban over Trump?
Would I pull the trigger for Cuban over Trump? I don't know. How good a lefty is he? How good?
I think he's more centrist, to be honest with you. I don't think he actually has a team in place.
I got to have somebody that lives and breathes universal health care. I got to have somebody that lives and breathes public education. I got to have somebody that lives and breathes equal rights, civil rights, workers' rights, unions. I mean, there's a big place for someone in politics if they grab all of those things and be brilliant on the basics. I don't give a goddamn if you're in the global economy or the universal economy or whatever. America was built on great principle, and those principles are still valid to this day, which we are going to be getting away from with the conservative movement.
It sounds like you described former Vice President Joe Biden to a T.
Low energy. Not to steal Trump's line.
The boring white guy hasn't gone out of style just yet.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well.
Hey, I miss you on MSNBC, man. They're a total crap show anymore. All I was going to say is I miss being at 6 o'clock.
I appreciate that. You're very kind. Thank you. It is what it is. You can catch me on RT. 202-909-1492. We're still getting calls. All right, you got me working long today. You're on Facebook Live with Ed Schultz. Hello.
Hello, Ed.
How you doing?
Pretty good. It's Bill Gibson from West Virginia.
Good to have you on, Bill.
All right. My question is, do you think Trump has lied to the West Virginia people about the coal mines?
No.
That he was going to bring coal mine jobs back?
No, I don't. I mean, Trump wasn't going to go in there and wave a magic wand and all of a sudden coal jobs come back. It's going to take time. But I think he's setting the table to try to do some things for the miners. And then, of course, you get into the environmental conversation, whether coal is clean, and it's not, but it can be scrubbed. I got all that. The bottom line here is that there was something in the budget bill to save those 20,000 coal miner retirees to make sure that they weren't going to be out on the street. And I respect the Congress for having a bipartisan effort on that. So, the guy gets credit for that. That's how I see it.
Okay. And my other question is, Ed, I followed your show a lot because you always talked about the working man. And I always wondered about the Democratic Party. To me, in my opinion, the Democratic Party has left the working class years ago. I mean, even I'm going all the way back to Bill Clinton. So what's your opinion on the Democrat leaving the working class people behind? And I think that's why Trump got elected, because he talked to the working class.
You hit the nail on the head, buddy. You hit the nail on the head. And the Democrats are going to have to go back and recapture the hearts and minds of those workers. And somebody's got to stand up in front of them and make them believe that they can do a better job than Trump and that they'll advocate for them. Let me talk about advocacy in politics for just a moment. And I'm going to go back to health care for just a moment, and I'll get back to your point. When the Affordable Health Care Act was in motion back in 2009, and the battle was going on, there were advocates. There was Ted Kennedy. There was Robert Byrd. There was Tom Harkin. There were people who were out there who were constantly battling away for health care for all Americans, okay? Give me a name on the Republican side who the advocate is. There isn't one. There isn't one out there that all they're doing is talking about a freaking deal. All they're talking about is what's going to be out there for consumers. I want somebody to live it. I want somebody to feel it. I want somebody to fight for it. And this is what we're missing right now. Now, to take your point, the Democrats have got to find somebody who's going to walk through that factory and walk through those wage earners, whether they're in a factory or not, or walk through those service industry workers and make them believe that they're a big part of America and the economy. And if the Democrats can't find somebody to do that, if they're going to rely on somebody who's hanging out on Twitter to beat their ass, then they deserve to get their ass kicked. And someone is going to have to come along and inspire these Americans, these wage earners who want change, who want a better America, who don't want the have and the have-not society. And I don't know who that's going to be. But that's what you're talking about. That's what the Democrats have lost. Nancy Pelosi doesn't bring it to the game, okay? Nancy Pelosi doesn't do that. Steny Hoyer doesn't bring it to the game like that. You know, Chuck Schumer, you might as well put corporate attorney and stamp it on his head. I mean, come on. You need to get somebody who's going to roll their sleeves up there and roll their sleeves up and get in there and get their hands dirty and get after it with these workers and make them, inspire them that he or she is going to be with them. Hillary Clinton did not do that. Okay? That's the bottom line. Union is not a dirty word. Wage earner is not a dirty term. That's where the Democrats have got to start. They do that, they'll win. They don't do that, it's going to be more of the same. That's my view.
And Ed, they forget the working man is the one that built this country.
Yeah.
They forget that.
And the working man is the voter that put Trump in office.
Right.
Good to have you on.
Because he talked to the worker. He was saying he was going to help the worker. And that's what the worker wants to hear.
Absolutely. Look, I've told this story before, but I got to do it again. I was in Indianapolis, Indiana, at the Carrier plant. And I interviewed these workers that were having their jobs outsourced. And you could see the anguish in their eyes. You could feel the anguish. You could sense it. Their hearts are broken. Their spirit was broken. They're losing their job. They don't know what they're going to do. They got told in a 10-minute meeting it was over. And at some level, then a candidate named Trump went there 3 weeks later and said, I'm going to do what I can to save your job. And he saved some of them. And he used it as a platform, as an example to America that, you know what, I can, as president, make a difference, and this is what I'm going to do. And that's what he did. And Hillary Clinton didn't do that. I don't know if Hillary Clinton had the ability to do that. I don't know if it was in her heart to do that or her soul to do that, or whether she had the experience to do that, but it didn't happen. It happened with Trump, and I think that had a big impact in messaging to workers in this country that there was somebody out there that gives a shit. Whether you like this politics or not, that's what they were concerned about. They were concerned about their kitchen table. I heard stories about single moms having 2 teenagers not knowing what to do. I heard a story of an African-American man saying, my wife was retired and now she's got to go back to work. It tore his heart out. And you know, his job's been saved. Who saved it? It wasn't Hillary. It was Trump. Okay? So it's a fact. This isn't politics. This is a reality of what happened. And if the Democrats can't get to those people, and if they can't inspire them and work for them and make a difference, then it's not going to happen. So there we are. Thank you. Thanks for calling. I got more calls, or I worked them all over already. You know, we actually get quicker phone calls. How many lines do we have? We have 2 phone lines, and we don't screen them. This is like back to bare bones radio when I first started 40 years ago, doing a sports talk show. And we don't screen the calls. I do this. I don't do it every day. I'm not going to work my ass off.
We try 4 times a week. Sometimes we stretch it out.
Yeah. And we got a phone number. I love this. This is what I love about Facebook radio. 202 909-1492. You don't have to be high-tech to talk to people about what's going on in their lives. And I love this. Facebook Radio, Facebook Live with Ed Schultz. We're back tomorrow, I think.